Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Industry Spotlight session with Ducks Unlimited. My name is Kimberly with ICEV, and we are honored today to have Mark Horowitz and Tom Johnson join us today. I'll let them introduce themselves, and we'll get started.
Great. Thank you, Kimberly. Like she indicated, my name is Mark Horowitz, Manager of Youth and Education Programs for Ducks Unlimited. Been with Ducks Unlimited for 7 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long. And I've had the privilege of working with a lot of young men and women across the country to further our conservation mission and also instill leadership qualities and opportunities in regards to conservation education. And that's what we're going to talk to you all about today, what Ducks Unlimited is, why we created this certification in partnership with ICEV as our testing platform, and then also talk about the benefits of the certification and why we think it's important for individuals to dive into the knowledge of this certification. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can start this PowerPoint, which we've created for everyone. I think we're good to go. So I'm going to start with kind of an overview of what Ducks Unlimited is. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions out there on who and what DU is. Ducks Unlimited is the world's largest 501c3, so nonprofit organization dedicated to conservation, restoration, and management of wetlands and associated habitats for North America's waterfowl. These habitats also benefit other wildlife and people. So essentially, water is our business. Ducks Unlimited, since 1937, has conserved more than 14 million acres of wetland habitat across the country. Ducks Unlimited is guided by science. In other words, we have a team of scientists and engineers, biologists, conservation specialists across the world that do a lot of research to make sure that we're being good stewards of our resources and spending our money wisely on the things that matter. And the ducks, which is our primary concern for our habitat conservation, also tell us where to spend our money. We take a continental landscape approach to what we do. While we work in all 50 states within the US, we also do conservation work in Canada, particularly in the prairie pothole region, which is where the ducks spend majority of their time nesting before they make the long migration south, as well as in Mexico. So again, a continental landscape approach to what Ducks Unlimited does. Things that we do, for example, is restoring grasslands, replanting forests, restoring watersheds. We work with private landowners, we work with partners, and we also work on conservation easements, which allows us to take a piece of property that is particularly good for waterfowl and make sure that that particular piece of property can never be developed, so that it will be in perpetuity a place for wildlife such as waterfowl and other aquatic animals and vegetation to thrive. Now with Ducks Unlimited, again, we are a continental landscape approach to what we do, and we could not do the work on the ground without our volunteers. We have over 55,000 volunteers that do not get paid by the organization. They volunteer their time and passion for the organization by raising money, which is what we have to be able to continue our conservation work and to put our dollars on the ground on a daily basis. So our volunteers absolutely drive the ship, so to speak, for Ducks Unlimited. So what we are not, we get a lot of questions about, does Ducks Unlimited make clothes? While we do have proud partners, corporate partners such as Drake Waterfowl, we do not make clothes. We are a conservation organization. We are not a guide service for waterfowl hunting. We certainly are not a registered kennel for selling Labrador retrievers, although I love labs. I hunt with them on a daily basis. We do not sell them, and we're not responsible for setting bag limits on waterfowl. That's done by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in partnership with state agencies. So why Ducks Unlimited certification? Why did Ducks Unlimited team up with ICEV for this very, very important opportunity? I'm gonna read you a quote first, and then I'll dive into the main purpose behind why we did. This is something that several DU staff members came up with when we first launched the certification in October of 2019. It's important that students understand not only the ecology principles of conservation of wildlife and wildlife habitats, but also their personal roles as future stewards. For us, as the leader in wetlands conservation, if we are not taking time to educate, mentor the future leaders of the natural resources that we love so much, then we're not doing our job at Ducks Unlimited. Stewardship is so important, no matter what it's involved with, whether it's land, anything that you have a responsibility and a job of taking care of. We at Ducks Unlimited feel that this certification is allowing us to do the things necessary to create and instill future leadership with the next generation of future leaders of this country. So in a nutshell, Ducks Unlimited developed the ecology, conservation, and certification for the purpose of creating a pipeline of qualified and committed employees in the natural resources industry. So a quick overview of the certification, what it consists of. This certification took a while to put together. I'm very, very happy with the outcome. And obviously we had a lot of input with our partner ICEV, but also our chief scientist at Ducks Unlimited, Dr. Tom Norman, was instrumental in coming up with the lesson plans that are incorporated in this certification. 20% of the certification revolves around the ecological principles, talking about, for example, ecological systems. 10% is dedicated to species identification. This would be my favorite aspect of the certification. This will include such things as waterfowl, upland game birds, predators, and fur bearers, as well as even non-game animals. 30% of the certification pertains to wildlife conservation and management. So for example, talking about the North American model of wildlife conservation, as well as 40% dedicated to habitat conservation and management, talking about the different types of habitats that are important for us to focus on in terms of conservation, which is grasslands, wetlands, and even forests. So earning the certification, what is involved once a student chooses to begin the lesson plan? At the end of the lesson plan, for a student to earn the certification, they must take and pass a 100-question exam. Now, this exam assesses industry standards set by Ducks Unlimited. The individual must score at least a 70% on the certification exam to pass. And again, it's hosted on the ICEV testing platform. It's been a phenomenal relationship and partnership with ICEV. There are optional study materials available to prepare for the certification so that the student is prepared. There's PowerPoint presentations, video presentations, as well as printable and interactive activities. So that's an overview of the things that a student must do essentially to earn the certification. But why should someone want to take this certification? Why would a student want to take it? Why would it behoove you as teachers to offer this? For the last year or so, we've been acquiring letters of support for the certification from various individuals, corporations, farming ranches, businesses. And here's a couple of things I just wanted to read to everyone from some of our letters of support, one of which comes from the Vermilion Corporation. For those of you from Louisiana, this is a 125,000 acre management of Southwest Louisiana wetlands. And this company is highly interested in preserving prime habitat for wildlife and believes that a healthy company should be committed to being good stewards of the land. There's that word again. They indicated that anyone would be enhanced, or they would be enhanced, particularly the Vermilion Corporation would be enhanced by the ability to add personnel that have gone through a certification process like this one that we are offering at Ducks Unlimited. And the second one comes from the King Ranch. This is from the area manager of wildlife operations. Not only is this for students in high school, but for seasoned wildlife professionals who desire to enhance their knowledge and skills. This program will be valuable for those aspiring to pursue an education and work in the field of wildlife management. And to me, this is one of the greatest points that the area manager from the King Ranch talked about, which is this certification will help give anyone a basic understanding relating to stewardship of our natural resources. That's something it's been out of reach for a lot of us living in urban environments. And this will provide a foothold for students to launch themselves toward an opportunity to lead in the outdoor arena. So again, I think those are just two very powerful reasons from two very big corporations, companies, ranches in the United States that believe in what Ducks Unlimited stands for, believes in this certification, and believes in the content and the opportunity that it provides for students and anyone looking to better themselves personally and professionally. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Mr. Tom Johnson. Tom Johnson is a Ducks Unlimited volunteer in the state of Texas. He serves as the state youth and education chairman for that state and also serves on the National Youth and Education Committee. Tom's going to talk about the benefits of the certification and in addition to that, his personal perspective on this certification and why it's important. Tom?
Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Kimberly, for having me out to speak on this certification today. A little bit more about myself, guys. Like Mark said, I am a volunteer. I'm not an employee of Ducks Unlimited. I have been a volunteer for almost 20 years now, and I'm a rancher in Texas. I have 3 ranches. I run about 500 head of mama cows there. I know exactly how important it is to be a good steward of the land. I know exactly how important it is and how much value there is in this certification. And with it coming from Ducks Unlimited, I know that they are the world's leader in wetlands conservation. And the skills that these kids will learn by taking this certification and earning this certification, it's not just about wildlife. Let's say you're going to be an engineer to put in, say, an apartment complex or housing complex, it's good knowledge to know how you're affecting the land there. Even though it may have nothing to do with what you think is wildlife, you're actually taking away habitat from wildlife. You're affecting the watershed also. So it's great knowledge to have even outside the wildlife realm, so that you know what exactly you're affecting and not just in the wildlife terms. This certification would help jumpstart your career by letting a potential employer like myself know that you have some knowledge of taking care of the land out there and your responsibility as a good steward of taking care of the land. You know why we need to take care of the land for future generations to come. And your professional and personal development, this certification covers so much areas, especially through the wildlife and why we do all wildlife management and most especially the wetlands. But water affects everything. Every living organism in the world, nothing can live without water. And as cities grow bigger, as our populations grow bigger, we are impacting that water supply daily. And we've come to understand through the years how important these wetlands are at filtering our water and restoring our groundwater. As farmers and ranchers, we know that without groundwater, there's no irrigation. We already, in some areas of the country, are limited on the amount of water we can draw out of the underwater aquifers. And a lot of this can be attributed to the wetlands that have been taken away, drained by the past generations. So there's these wetlands that soak up the water like a big sponge. They recharge those groundwaters that we need. They also filter our waters before they go into our rivers and into our oceans. We read a lot about the red tide and algae blooms and so forth. And if we had our wetlands like they were when the good Lord made the earth, we wouldn't be having those problems right now. So to have knowledge as to why we have these wetlands, why we need to protect those wetlands, why do we need to restore those wetlands, It affects more than just wildlife. If we don't step up and start taking an approach that protects and preserves and even makes more wetlands, here in the future, we're going to be it's going to be bleak. I've often said that if farmers and ranchers would band together, we could be more powerful than the oil companies, because as you know, a gallon of water right now is more expensive than a gallon of oil. So it's going to get worse and worse as we move forward. If these students that earn this certification enter any of the work force, there's no place that you can't say that this certification wouldn't benefit them somehow. The knowledge that they would attain with the certification, they can use it anywhere, not just in the wildlife realm. We know that the wildlife and natural resources, we know that we're going to grow by 8% over the next 10 years. We're going to need more people in those fields. But we also know that we're going to need more engineers. We're going to have more farmers, more ranchers. A lot of the agriculture products that are out there right now, we're going to have to even make more because we're consuming more. We have less farmland because of urban development, and so we've got to learn to conserve that water, and so that future generations are not going to be dealing with drought situations, because the world is not getting any smaller. We're just getting bigger and bigger. So next slide, Mark. Water, wildlife, and conservation. All of those go hand in hand, just like I was talking. Water, there's nothing in the world that can live without water. Water is everything. We see when we have a drought come along, we understand real quick how important water is. When it's raining every day, we want it to stop. But believe me, without that water, that we would have nothing. And it is our responsibility as good stewards to manage our water, protect our wildlife, because each one of us that live in a home or apartment, I don't care where you live, if you take up space in the world, you have encroached on wildlife and creatures out there. And it's our responsibility as good stewards to provide them with a home. As farmers and ranchers, it is our responsibility as good stewards to manage our land so that we share that with that wildlife, and we protect some habitat for those guys too, because that's their home too, and we need to understand why we are protecting that. So this certification gives us an individual good knowledge as to why we need that. Our future stewards are those students that you are teaching in your classroom. Those guys, if we're going to change anything in the world of farming and ranching, or the way we see our water sources and stuff, it's going to change with the generation that you're going to be teaching today. We won't change my generation. We are set in our ways, and we're not going to change anything. So if we're going to change is going to come from the generation that you're teaching in the classroom. And that's the reason why I was so excited when Ducks Unlimited developed this certification, so that we could bring it to the classroom and teach the next generation why we need to conserve water, why we need to conserve our wildlife, why wetlands are so important, and why we need to protect those wetlands. Because we know, as a good wildlife biologist will tell you that around a water source like a marsh or a swamp, there is more wildlife, insects, and animals in that little area than any other place in the world. So we know that all life begins with water. And so that is why it's so important for us to understand why we need to protect our wetlands and help conserve our wildlife. So I encourage you, as just a ranch owner and someone who's a big proponent of being good stewards, I encourage you to teach this certification to your kids, because there is a lot of good knowledge that they will attain from this certification.
Yeah, I just would like to echo what Tom said. Again, thank you for everyone for your attention, for being a part of this virtual event. And again, Ducks Unlimited is very, very proud to launch this certification. This is the first time that I know of in the history of the organization that we've done something on this mass or at least wide range of a scale in terms of conservation education. We're very proud of this certification, and we're very proud to be a part of working with ICEV as our testing platform and giving as many students across the country an opportunity to take this certification as possible. So thank you for your attention, and thank you for your time today.
All right, well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. For those of you wanting to join us for the Q&A, you can find the link below. We'll see you there.